Yo, what's up, Nucleates? It's your boy, Nuclear Athlete. I know it's been like 3 months since I last recorded a video. Don't worry, I'm back. I just took a small break, needed it for myself, and I've been busy with work, so you can't be mad at me. But anyway, so as you know, the NFL draft has happened, and free agency is still going on. And as you know, I'm wearing my custom Minnesota Vikings jersey 5 with my last name on it. So I thought today, or tonight, whenever this video goes up, I'm going to talk about the Minnesota Vikings offseason moves that include the draft and what I personally think about them. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. The first move the Minnesota Vikings made this offseason was they re-signed Stephen Weatherly, defensive end. He played in Carolina for the last 2 seasons after we were unable to re-sign him. And since then, he put up okay numbers. Didn't get too many sacks, didn't get too many pressures, but did his job just fine. Stephen Weatherly will more than likely be a rotational piece with the young talent that we have. And I think it's a really, really good move that the Vikings did to bring in some veteran defensive end help and also bring in a guy that's familiar with the system with Coach Andre Patterson. I give this one about a B+. The biggest free agent signing that the Vikings had was probably either defensive tackle Dalvin Tomlinson or cornerback Patrick Peterson. The first one I'm going to talk about is Dalvin Tomlinson. Dalvin Tomlinson clocks in at 325 pounds and stands 6'8". Was one of New York's best pass rushers and run stoppers and is one of the best ones in the league. He, next to Michael Pierce, will make an outstanding run-stop defense, and I think this was one of our best free agent signings in the last year besides signing Michael Pierce last year, who of course opted out due to COVID-19 reasons. This one I give an A to, and I will see him as a Viking for a foreseeable future. The next move that the Vikings did was they signed Nick Vigil, linebacker who played with Cincinnati last season. Now, Nick Vigil has never been a huge linebacker. He's never been a guy that's going to blow you away with speed or blow you away with explosiveness, but he does his job. I like this one because we just lost Eric Wilson to the Eagles in free agency, and I think this will help our linebacker room just have some depth to it. I see him being more of, again, a rotational piece, just like Weatherly. As of course, we got Anthony Barr back this offseason. We're getting Eric Kendricks back after injury, and we have Troy Dye out of Oregon, who we drafted last year in the 4th round. So I think our linebacker room is pretty set, so I'm pretty happy with that signing. One of the biggest free agent signings that Minnesota did this year was the Patrick Peterson signing. Patrick Peterson has played most of his career since being drafted in 2011 with the Arizona Cardinals. Actually, he's played his entire career with the Arizona Cardinals. The only reason why they did not re-sign him this offseason was because their cornerback room was kind of already set with a lot of young guys. And I think Peterson wanted to move on. Where does Peterson fit in with the Vikings? Well, he will be an excellent, excellent mentor to our extremely young cornerback room of Cameron Dantzler, Mike Hughes, Jeff Gladney, Cordrea Tankersley, who we actually let go this offseason. But any other corner we have or safety that's young. This was a huge signing. He was actually the first player in the NFL right now to switch his jersey number to go back to his number 7 that he had back at LSU. Patrick Peterson gets an A+. He's going to be a day 1 great addition to the team. Now, as most teams, you cut players. You cut players that just didn't really live up to your standards, and the Vikings sure did that. One player that they cut that a lot of Minnesota Viking fans were super happy they cut was Riley Reef. Now, yes, Riley Reef started playing better after they adjusted his contract, had one of his best seasons, but he also had too much time to prove himself, and he didn't. He wasn't the greatest pass defender. Let Kirk get pressured quite a bit. So I'm glad he got cut. I hope he does well in Cincinnati, where he did end up signing, where he'll protect the young Joe Burrow. But I'm happy with that cut, and I give that one an A-. The next big cutting that the Vikings did was on kicker Dan Bailey. Now, as you know, Dan Bailey used to be an amazing kicker. I mean, Cowboy fans, you guys know how good he is. Viking fans, we know how good he used to be. But this season, he had no excuse not to be good. I mean, he was almost perfect last season, and this season he cost us too many games. Now, yes, that means our current kicker is Greg Joseph, and Greg Joseph is not a starting kicker in any team. But it's also an upgrade from Dan Bailey, who, is getting up there in age. His accuracy last year was just not worth keeping, and I think this will be a good move going forward for the Vikings. I give this one an A minus. The third big cutting that the Minnesota Vikings had was Shamar Stephen. Now, Shamar Stephen was a defensive tackle that we brought over from Seattle, who actually played with us before he went to Seattle and then came back again, but he just wasn't any good. Shamar Stephen actually used to be not a bad defensive tackle. He used to be a pretty good pass rusher, but just his age and the improved offensive lineman skills of today, he didn't have it in him, and he wasn't getting any pressures at all, and that's why we had one of the worst defensive line in the NFL last season. So I'm okay with this one. Of course, now we have Delvin Tomlinson and Michael Pierce coming back, so I'm extremely happy. Now I want to go into the draft, and boy, did we have a good draft. The Minnesota Vikings had the number 14th pick in the first round of the 2021 NFL Draft, and when it came to their selection, they ended up trading it. They traded down with the New York Jets to get the 23rd pick and 2 third-round picks. With the 23rd pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings selected Christian Darrisaw, offensive tackle out of Virginia Tech. Now, Christian Darrisaw will be a beast in the NFL. He's solid. He's quite agile for his size. And he really, really is good at his pass blocking, which is exactly what we need. The next big pick that the Minnesota Vikings had, that draft pick gets an A+. Now, the next big pick that the Minnesota Vikings had was quarterback Kellen Mond out of Texas A&M. Now, I'm sure if you guys have probably heard, the Minnesota Vikings were actually going after quarterback Justin Fields out of The Ohio State University. But the Chicago Bears traded up to the 11th pick and got him before anybody else could. So after he went off the board, the next best quarterbacks were Davis Mills, Kyle Trask, and the one the Minnesota Vikings ended up selecting, Kellen Mond. Now, when we got Kellen Mond, I was ecstatic. I was so happy we got Kellen Mond. Because as you guys know, the Minnesota Vikings quarterback room behind Kirk Cousins has been awful. The backup quarterback was Sean Mannion, a guy who has been in the league for 5 years and has not thrown one NFL touchdown and has thrown 2 interceptions. Yeah, there's a reason why he's not a starter. The next quarterback after that would have been Nate Stanley out of Iowa University, out of Iowa State. Not great. He did not play well in the Big Ten, did not play very well at Iowa, and that's why he was taken in the 7th round. After him was Jake Browning, 4-year starter at Washington State. Now, a lot of people were high on Jake Browning just because he was so good in college. Day 1 starter his freshman year, played all 4 years of his eligibility, and was the starter. But that's it. Now, of course, we never really got to see Nate Stanley or Jake Browning play in the NFL because of COVID-19 and there being no preseason games. But, I mean, imagine if Kirk Cousins goes down. Are we really going to put Sean Mannion, Jake Browning, or Nate Stanley in? No. Kellen Mond will be the instant day 2 starter. His tape at the Senior Bowl, there's a reason why he was the Senior Bowl MVP. He's just a fantastic quarterback. He, of course, gets an A+. Another really big pick that the Minnesota Vikings got was offensive guard Wyatt Davis out of The Ohio State University, who has only allowed 1 quarterback hit in his time at The Ohio State University. Now, Wyatt Davis fell out of the first round because of some injuries he had in 2020, but that still doesn't mean that he isn't a dog. I mean, this kid's going to be something good. He will replace Drew Samia or Rashad Hill as a starting offensive guard next to Ezra Cleveland. And our offensive line is set. This one gets an A+. The last big draft signing or draft pick that I can think of besides Chaz Surratt, who I will talk about him some other time, was wide receiver Amir Smith Marset, or ISM, as some people call him. Now, ISM was a wide receiver out of Ohio, played alongside Nate Stanley, and he will be our wide receiver 3 next to Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. Now, I don't know a whole lot on Amir Smith Marset. I have to watch some more film on him. But from what I heard, he's a dog. He's another possession kind of slot receiver, which is what we needed. And he will be fighting for that wide receiver spot, but I ultimately believe he's going to get it. His competition is Olabisi Johnson, who has been in the league now for 3 years. And BC is a good receiver, don't get me wrong. He is very solid, but he's just not a wide receiver 3. A couple other options we have are, of course, Chad Beebe, who is known for that muffed punt and then getting a touchdown against Carolina. He will have a fighting chance after the Vikings brought him back. And then, of course, there's KJ Osborne out of Miami, who, he probably won't even be the lead return man either. So, Amir Smith, just because I don't know too much on him, gets an A-, but solid pick. Solid pick. Now, to finish off the offseason and free agency before the season starts up and rookie mini camps for the Vikings kick off, in recent news, there are 3 current free agents that the Vikings are linked to that they may sign, and I'm going to go over them real quickly. The first one is Ryan Kerrigan, who played with Washington the last few seasons. Ryan Kerrigan is 30 years old, so he is a little bit on the older side, but I do think that if we are able to bring him in, he will be that starter defensive end. I think he is a huge piece that could easily bring us some help training up DJ Wanham. Patrick Jones, who we did draft. I forgot about Patrick Jones out of Pittsburgh. He's a beast. He can fight for that starting spot, but I think he'll be more of a rotational guy. But I definitely like Ryan Kerrigan coming to Minnesota if that does happen. And the next two positions that we might be looking to sign are receivers. First one being D.D. Westbrook, former Jaguars wide receiver. He is currently a free agent. Minnesota is linked to him, as are the Bengals and the Chiefs, as Chiefs players are trying to get him to come over and help out that wide receiver room. But I would love to get him. I think he would be our wide receiver 3. No competition. D.D. Westbrook, very quick, very good with his hands, a very good route runner. So I would definitely like to see him in purple. The last one is more for sentimental reasons, and Minnesota fans, you can let me know how you would feel about it. It's Larry Fitzgerald, a longtime Cardinal. Will go down as one of the greatest Cardinals of all time, if not one of the best wide receivers of all time. There is talk that Minnesota could look to bring him back. 1, as we do need that wide receiver 3, and he would be a great veteran for the young guys. But also, if you guys don't know some history about Larry Fitzgerald, he actually started his football journey as a ball boy for the Minnesota Vikings as he grew up in Minnesota. And so many fans would love to see him back in purple and gold, as this may very well be his last season if he doesn't retire already. So there you have it, guys. My take on the Minnesota Vikings offseason moves, including the NFL draft and free agency signing. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and let me know who you think the Minnesota Vikings signed or should have drafted, and let me know how well you think the Minnesota Vikings are going to do. I want your honest opinion. I know I'm going to have a lot of Packer fans watching this, as I have a lot of Wisconsin fans, but I want to hear you guys honestly speaking about how well you think the Minnesota Vikings are going to do. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. It really helps me out, as I'm trying to reach 100 subscribers before the end of May or the end of June. I promise to start uploading more videos very soon, and look out for potential podcasts starting soon. I'm looking to get some equipment for that. So please be patient as I continue to work through some of these things. Thank you so much. This is Nuclear Athlete, signing out.